Topic is the influence of Imam Rabbani Sheikh Ahmad Sirhindi on Badi'uzzaman Said Nursi. As we know, Badi'uzzaman Said Nursi is one of the greatest reformers of 21st century whose works approach Islam in a psychological, scientific manner. His vision as well as mission was to reconstruct the Islamic ideology by words and deeds. He was well confident that an Islamic life can coexist with modern life without an alienation to the political power. In that sense, his ideologies differ to that of his contemporary intellectuals of Islam, Sayyid Qutb, Hassan al-Banna, Abul Ala Maududi, and Dr. Sir Allama Muhammad Iqbal. Every one of them affected the ideas of the other who were claiming for an Islamic state in way or other. Then, who impacted in Said Nursi to forward some spontaneous views and ideas on Islam and its coexistence. His debut in the mysticism or tasawwuf, especially the impact of Qadriya and Naqshbandiya order, made him acceptant of inclusiveness as his eyes referred to the central figures of tasawwuf. Nursi learned and was inspired by the teachings and writings of spiritual leaders and pioneers of Tariqa Sufi orders. References to them can be found throughout the Risale. Significant names standing out among the others include Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, Imam Rabbani Sheikh Ahmad Sirhindi, Imam Ghazali, and Shah Bahauddeen Naqshband. He admires these figures throughout his writings. For example, referring to the central figures of Tasawwuf, he notes, "My conjecture is that if persons like Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani and Shah Naqshband and Imam Rabbani were alive, they would expend all their efforts to strengthen the truths of belief and tenets of Islam. For they are the means to eternal happiness. If there is deficiency in them, it results in eternal misery." The above saying of Said Nursi demonstrates the figures who left imprints on his thoughts and ideas and gave stimulation for his silent revolt against the so-called modernization of Mustafa Kamal. This paper is meant to highlight the influence of Imam Rabbani and his Sufi order Naqshbandiya Tariqa upon Said Nursi. Let me introduce Imam Rabbani and his spiritual and political life. He was born in Sirhind, province of Lahore in India in 1564. He is more famous as Mujaddid al-Fusani, say regenerator of second millennium, and his lineage associated with Umar al-Faruq, the second Khalifa of Islam, which bestowed him the name al-Faruqi. Spiritually, he depended upon the Naqshbandi order of Sufism and became the disciple of Mu'ayyiduddin Muhammad al-Baqi Billah, and thus the eighth in the series of disciples of Khaja Bahauddeen Naqshband. The series of Naqshbandiya order from Khaja Bahauddin Shah Muhammad Naqshband to Ahmad al-Faruq Sirhindi is Khaja Bahauddin Naqshband, Muhammad bin Muhammad Alauddin al-Bukhari al-Khawarizmi, Yaqub al-Jarhi, Nasiruddin Ubaidullah al-Ahrar ibn Mahmud al-Shihabuddin, Muhammad Zahid al-Qazi al-Samarkandi, Darwish Muhammad al-Samarkandi, Khajak al-Amkanaki al-Samarkandi, and Muhammad al-Baqi. As we know, Naqshbandi order was popularized by Shah Muhammad Bahauddin Naqshband. He was born, died and buried in Bukhara. His direct sheikh in Tariqa was Sayyid Amir Kalali, and I avoid his series of gurus or teachers, sheikhs up to Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In contrary to other orders of Sufism, Naqshbandi order allows its members to mingle with the mass or accompany the nobles to guide them. One of their basic principles is al-halwatu fil jalwa, which means the isolation in appearance. They claim the next or script of Allah is bent or pasted in their hearts through meditation, and the memory of Allah Almighty is still in their hearts, though they are among people. This order of Sufism was prevalent in whole Turkey, with special importance of Imam Rabbani Sheikh Ahmad Sirhindi when Said Nursi was born and abroad. As we know, his father and mother were the followers of this Naqshbandi order, and Sheikh Abdul Rahman Taghi was their teacher or sheikh in this order. When he mentions his 4 teachers in his Risale-e-Nur, we can see this impact and influence of Naqshbandi order on Sayyid Nursi. Although, just like Mr. Dr. Faisal Hudawi presented that he was not a founder of any tariqa, but we can see his all Risale-e-Nur is impacted or influenced by this Naqshbandi order or Imam Rabbani Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. We can see some quotations. There was an immense love for Sayyid Nursi towards Sheikhs of Eastern Anadol. He mentioned 4 of them in his biography. They are Sayyid Nur Muhammad, who taught him the Naqshbandiya order, Sheikh Abdurrahman Taghi, who taught Sayyid the Law, Sheikh Fahim, from whom Sayyid learned Ilm al-Haqiqa, and Sheikh Muhammad al-Kufrawi, the final teacher, said Mej. This short menu refers to an important point that the majority of grand scholars in the last decade of the 19th century in Anadol were the followers of Naqshbandiya and Khalidiyya order. These are Sheikhs of Turkey, were the followers of Imam Rabbani in their views and deeds. Undoubtedly, these teachers may have influenced the public life of Sayyid Nursi with a deep root in spirituality. No wonder the Mughals against whom Imam Rabbani fought were originally Turkish, and the interaction between India and Turkish Muslim rule caused the preaching of Sarhindi's ideologies in Turkey. As we closely examine the writings of Nursi, we can see that he completely supports and elaborates on beautiful intentions and aims of tariqah, such as strengthening faith and purifying the soul, and also draws the potential dangers of following a journey through these orders. Though Badi'uzzaman Sayyid Nursi did not follow any one of them of his sheikhs particularly, it is mostly because he saw the supremacy of Sharia upon tariqah, an idea forwarded by Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. May quote Sheikh Sayyid Nur al-Hasan upon Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. Unlike the Sufi preachers, Imam Rabbani laid great stress on the importance of propagation of the Sharia by the state. His ideas on Sharia were something different from the prevalent Sufic notions. The Sufis believed primarily in their individual salvation and in the moral possession of the mass. Imam Rabbani, however, holds a contrary view. He considered the scholars of Sharia are superior to Sufis. We can see the spiritual influence of Imam Rabbani when Nursi quotes him to support his claim. For example, he quotes Imam Rabbani in his letters, Maktubat. Imam Rabbani, the hero and a son of the Naqshbandiya order, said, I prefer the unfolding of a single matter of the truths of beliefs to thousands of illuminous ecstasies and instances of wonder-working. Politically, Sayyid Nursi tried to fix himself in a situation parallel to that of Imam Rabbani. Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi, who fought against the audiences of Jalaluddin Akbar, who was affected by the Bhakti movement and Sufism and formulated a new region named Dina Ilahi. This comparison is something right because Sayyid Nursi witnessed the sunset of Ottoman Empire and the uprising of modern Turkey when the modernization of Turkey by Mustafa Kemal barely affected Islamic ideology. I will avoid the parts that I explain the prevailing tendencies of Imam Rabbani in the ruling of Jalaluddin Akbar. Let me conclude. But these situations and the rare and brave personality of Imam Rabbani impressed Sayyid Nursi when Islam was being modernized by the Europeanization process of Mustafa Kemal, and he used to imprison, threaten and execute Muslims. Nursi followed the same path and influenced the mass by his ideologies. He was completely stimulated by Imam Rabbani and selected the same path of letters and writings to save the faith of public and nobles. He challenged, but his challenges did not threaten the system of government. Nursi did not translate his challenges into an open revolution, the system of administration anywhere in any time. After the establishment of the Republic of Turkey, it seems that he was satisfied with the idea that a Muslim can function under the shade of Turkish secular system if the system is not against the Islamic ideology. We can see the same example in Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. Even during his confinement, he urged his followers not to do anything against the state, probably because the Sheikh believed that the success of his program depended on the cooperation of the king, who was, after all, much more amenable to influence of the ulama than his father. But Although Imam Rabbani has influenced his political view and spiritual life of our Badi'u Zaman Said Nursi, we can see some slight difference between two figures in their ideology on stage. Let me conclude, only one paragraph remain, but there is a slight difference between the ideas of both Imam Rabbani and Said Nursi. Nursi claimed for the coexistence of Islam with the secular state, but Imam Rabbani considers the king or the ruler is the center of Sharia. In a letter to Khan-e-Azam, he says, sages have said that the Sharia is always under the sword and the triumph of the Sharia depends on the kings. He makes the idea clear in the following words. The king stands in the same relation to the world as the heart stands to the body. If the heart is sound, the body is also well. If, however, the heart is in a bad way, the body also suffers. Thus, the welfare of the world depends on the goodness of the king. Let us come to the conclusion that both the figures, Imam Rabbani and Said Nursi, have many similarities, and the former influenced the latter in spiritually and politics. Their views on Tariq and Sharia are parallel, and they both preached the ways of non-violence and ideology that, in contrast to that of his contemporaries, although we may find some slight differences in their views on the stage, policies on Kafirs, heretical tendencies, resemblances are more in their thoughts and deeds. Wa akhiru da'wana. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.